around this time of year, we're either like sort of gearing up for the end of the school year and getting excited about summer, but maybe you're also sort of starting to really think, what do I want to be doing for the next school year? Have you had like questions just mulling around in your mind about like, is this, do I want to homeschool? You know what? Yes, I say yes, you should want to homeschool. Yes, I am a homeschool mom, and, I'm also a trained teacher, and I just think that it is wonderful. And so I just want to look at that today. If you've been sort of bouncing around this question in your mind, do I think I want to homeschool? Let's look at that today. Hi, and welcome to Learning Life, and thank you for joining me for one of my favorite little subjects. It's not really a little subject, it's a big subject. It is a big deal. It is homeschooling. Do you think that you want to homeschool? I really hope that you do, because you know what? It is a wonderful experience for your family, even for you, and I know that it can be scary. Yes, it can. I mean, it's a big change maybe. And, it might be outside of your comfort zone as something that you just are like, do I really want to be doing this? But you know what? You really have to come back to a couple of good questions like, is this right for my family or for my child? And how will this serve us? And you know what? I think that that's a good question because, when something serves us well, then we're all happier. Right? I love serving and helping other people. I mean, this is why I have Learning Life, because there are so many great topics out there and there are so many questions that we want to answer. And I like to be able to bring them to you, along with parenting and craft and fun. But homeschooling is a big thing for me. And with Learning Life, I can bring you some good education and some good information on it. And so thank you for your likes and for your subscribes and for being part of this Learning Life community. What do I think about you wanting to homeschool? Yes, I say go for it. This truly is wonderful. And this is a great, great time to be really looking at it. I am the type of person, I don't like to leave things last minute if I am making a decision. And I am probably one of those that goes back and forth too much on a decision. But this really is a great time. What a wonderful opportunity you have now over the next bit of time to talk to your homeschooling friends. Who's doing it that you know? Maybe you live in an area that has just a great homeschool community. And if so, that's wonderful. What a lot of great resources you have available right there. Or maybe you live in an area where there's not so many homeschooling families and those sorts of resources. But guess what? There is so much available online and people that you can talk to and reach out to, that can talk to you about homeschooling because, you're not on your own. None of us are. I think that's one of the great thing about homeschooling is that we're not on our own. And there are people that we can talk to about it. Now, look, honestly, I never really thought that I was going to be a homeschooler. I'm a trained teacher. I was going to teach. My kids were going to be in school because, I loved school. School was great. But as I, sort of taught in some different countries and different curriculum, and we got closer to having children, I was like, oh, do I want my children to be in school? And by the time the girls were born, I really knew in my heart that I wanted to homeschool. I wanted to take the things that I love about education and sort of throw away the things that I really didn't like so that I could create just a rich experience for my family, love of learning, flexibility, freedom, all of these different things. And so, it shocked me. Didn't think that's what I would be. But you know what? I think that also comes to a key point here is that you can change your mind. You really can. I've had friends that have been like, I really did not want to be a homeschooling parent. And now look at me because I knew it was the best thing for my child. Or, even actually, it was my husband that wanted me to homeschool our children. And I really wasn't sure, but now I love it. And I love that. And there's times that I've seen people they've had their children in school for years and then go, oh, this isn't right. We can change our mind, or, we can start homeschooling and hit to a certain point and go, I can't do this anymore, and putting them into school. You can do that. You are not locking yourself into an entire school career. You're not. You just are not. You can change your mind about whether you do it or you don't. You can even change your mind on how you do it. When I was setting out with the girls, I was going to do curriculum. We were going to do this. I had it all in my mind and all planned. And we were about 3 months in, and this curriculum just went out the window. I realized how much my girls had been learning organically. I realized in my journey through learning styles and the skills that we need, and just really landing in my heart on skills-based education. You know what? I really changed up how we do it, and we follow more of an unschooling model than anything else. Who would have thought that a trained teacher would unschool? I mean, that's just how it is, but it works for us right now. And could we change it later? Absolutely. And if they wanted to go to school later, can they? Yeah, they absolutely can. So when we are weighing this up, when we are looking at it, it's great to talk to our friends about it. It's also great to research curriculum and find out what people are using and what works for them. All of that, there is just so many great resources at our fingertips. And, I've done a couple of videos looking at some of the different curriculum out there. You can check those out or talk to the friends that are using it, because there are so many. And I know that I could probably do a year's worth of videos just on different curriculum alone. Okay, so do that. Research the curriculum and what you think would work for you, but also weigh up the pros and cons. I don't know. I'm a pro and conner when it comes to it. How are we going to balance it out? And I did, about 2 years ago, I did a video on the homeschooling pros and cons that goes more into depth in it. But let's just look at this quickly now, because if you are really thinking, do I want to homeschool? We have to weigh up the pros and cons. So check out the video on that. The link is below. But now let's just quickly look at the pros of homeschooling. Individualized education, my number one. There's freedom and flexibility in your time and where you do it. You can build strong relationships, within your family, having this extra time together and learning together. No busy work. How does that sound to you? Or even better, no homework. Nothing extra that you have to do after you've done what you've planned for the day. And then there's more time for rest for our children. So many of our children are sleep deprived. To me, I look just at that list alone, and that sort of sells me on it. Just even looking at those key points without going deeper. Freedom, flexibility, no homework, all of these things. That just, it speaks my educational love language there. But there are also cons. There are things that you really have to look at and weigh up on, will this work for us as a family? The cons of homeschooling. Socialization. People worry about that. But there are so many things that we can do. You know what? For you, it really does require the discipline to be able to separate between being mom and a facilitator and a teacher. It can get expensive. You might not be able to work full time, and you can weigh that up. But don't forget, you can buy curriculum, used. It doesn't have to be expensive. Oh, you might face judgment and bias, even from your own family about why are you homeschooling? Why are you doing it like that? What are your children learning? Okay. Elective opportunities for older kids. Is there too much togetherness? Do you need a break? Whoa, there is going to be less time for yourself. But these cons don't have to be so all-consuming and overwhelming. There are answers to all of those and what we can do to help ease them. Whether that is just making sure that you do have time for yourself, or, second-hand curriculum. There are so many great things. But I would say that my key thing with homeschooling is don't try to recreate school at home. Okay. We don't need to have this set schedule, curriculum, like all this, that, and the other, if that's really not going to work for you. Okay. I know, especially for me, that's not what I want for my girls. That's why we are home. Now, I get it. Like maybe you do love to have like a schedule and have that set curriculum and know that we're this to this to this to this. Okay. If that's what works for you, always do what works for you. But, I really actually love having a rhythm and a flow. Check out the video on rhythm and flow that just talk about how we can break away from a set schedule into, this is what we need to do and how we can just get that going without creating stress. I don't know about you, but I don't want the stress of having to do car lines and having to do all of those things. That is just, one of my 7,000 reasons why I love homeschooling. Transition to homeschool. If you decide to make this decision to homeschool, look, you're bringing your children out of a school setting and, that's whether it's public or private, charter, Montessori, any of those sorts of things. I recommend that you might want to have a period of deschooling. It's not unschooling. I've heard people go, but isn't deschooling unschooling? No, deschooling is when we take a period of time. It might be 2 weeks. It might be 2 months to just sort of breathe. And it is so very beneficial to make that switch and that change. So check out my video on deschooling because it really is something that many people haven't done. And I think that it really can help ease that transition from schooling to schooling at home. So, do you think you want to homeschool? Please say yes. All I can say is go for it. Go for it. It really is rewarding. Yes, there are challenges, and some days you might just think, I'm going to just go and enroll my child back in school or in school for the first time. We have these moments. We are human. But to me, the rewarding, beautiful aspects of homeschooling really just outweigh those little blips here and there. And let's not forget, you can change your mind. It doesn't have to be long term. You might decide that it is just horrible for one and all, and you need to get them back into school. You can do that. You really can do that. And you can also totally change up how you're doing it to make it work for you and do what works for you. So if you think you want to homeschool, go for it. If you have more questions, ask your friends, ask me. I'm here. I'd be glad to talk to you about it. Research your curriculum, do all of these amazing things, but also have fun with it. Well, thank you so much for watching today. And I hope that this might get your excitement about, do you want to be homeschooling? And thank you for those who have been part of this Learning Life community, not just the likes and the subscribes, but also by being a champion. And you can do that, help us to get more of these videos out. You can do that through patreon.com or through my website, LearningThis.Life.